to my kitchen. So today I'm going to be showing you 3 really simple, really cheap student recipes that I think every vegan student should know. When I started university 4 years ago, Christ, I had barely ever been in the kitchen. I could do beans on toast, make a cup of tea. That was about it. I was also not vegan or vegetarian, so I kind of experienced my veggie vegan cooking journey all at uni, and I honestly learned so much. And I think a lot of the time you do pick it up whilst you're there, but if you can start your university journey knowing those really simple but really hearty recipes that you can repeat and you can kind of change up a bit and make them a bit different, but you know the base of them, it's just going to make your life so much easier. Each dish is going to serve around 4 servings, and you can freeze 2 of them. One of them will keep in the fridge for about 2 or 3 days, so that one might be good to make as a big group, you know, if you're in your flat or in your halls or something like that. That's a really good one that you can all chip in and eat together as a little flat family. All of these recipes also use very minimal pots, washing up materials that you don't want to do. I've kept it really minimal. Most of it's just one pot stuff. Because nobody likes doing the dishes, and nobody does the dishes at university. Been there, done that. So the 3 recipes we're going to make today are a broccoli cheddar soup, which I just love in the winter. I make it all the time now. It's very student friendly, it freezes well. I'm not a student anymore, but I still eat it all the time. Another one is a really simple pasta bake. That one's really good that you can change up. You can throw loads of different veggies in there. And really just kind of make it your own. The last one we're going to do is a really easy chilli. Again, that's another one that you can add loads of veggies in, you can change up the beans or whatever you put in there. But I just think that these are 3 really good recipes to know, especially going into the winter months as well. You know, you're starting sort of mid to end of September, so it's going to be a bit chillier. So yeah, easy, cheap, simple, vegan recipes, perfect for students. So the first recipe we're going to be making today is a broccoli cheddar soup, and the ingredients you're going to need for this are some potatoes. Do you know what, guys? I'm not even really going to tell you the measurements because I know for a fact you're not going to have weighing scales at uni. So yeah, we're not going to do weight, but you'll need about 4 of these sized potatoes. I mean, they're about the size of the palm of my hand. 4 to 5 of those. You're going to need some broccoli. I would always suggest using frozen broccoli. You can literally get it for like 50p in Tesco. So yeah, and again, about a medium broccoli head's worth of that. You can really change this one up. It honestly doesn't really matter about the quantities. It's more about the consistency. And you can also, you know, you can test the soup halfway through to see if you like it. So yeah, you will need 1, what's this called? Stock cube, tiny bit of chilli. Again, I'd always recommend stocking up on spices. So things like chili powder, garlic powder, mixed herbs, ginger, cinnamon. Those would be my recommendations. So yeah, a little bit of chili, some plant milk of your choice. I'm just using oat because it's my fave, but you can use soy as well, which is normally cheaper. And then a little bit of vegan butter. This I normally use Flora, but this was the only one that they had at the time. Again, just get the cheapest one. Honestly, guys, it's not about getting the best products in the world. It's just about getting your nutrients in. So we're going to start by just really roughly peeling and chopping our potatoes. This can be really rough. As long as you do get all the skins off, I would say to remove the skins for a recipe like this, just because it makes it a lot smoother. But once you've chopped them up, try and chop them up really small, but they're just going to go straight in the saucepan. All of this goes straight in the saucepan, so you're going to love me for this one because there's barely any washing up. Okay, so I'm now going to add some boiling water, which I've just boiled in my kettle, and you're going to want enough just to cover the potatoes because they are gonna blend up and make it really creamy, but you don't want it like mashed potato. So once you've added your water to the pan, you can then add in your broccoli. As I said before, I'm not gonna measure because I'm not bothered. Okay, so I've put like 5 of sort of this sized head. Again, about the same size as palm of my hand. You want slightly less broccoli than you do potato. That's your kind of ratio. You're then going to want to add your vegetable stock. I just add it all straight into the pan rather than mixing it up first. Usually I would mix it all up in a jug and then add it in, but it's all going in there, it's all getting blended up. Let's just keep it simple because we're students. You're students. I'm no longer a student. Then going to want about half a cup to a cup of milk, depending on how creamy you want it. I like it pretty creamy. So we're gonna put that straight in there. We're gonna put a dash of chili powder. Unless you like it spicy, then go to town. I don't. So we're gonna add a teeny little bit. I'm so scared, it's not even coming out. About a tablespoon of vegan butter. This is not completely necessary, but I just think it kind of brings out that creaminess that I like in a good soup. So just about a tablespoon worth. Straight in there. This is going to be your most expensive ingredient out of everything, I think, in this video. So this is nutritional yeast. If you don't know what nutritional yeast is, it's just everything you'll ever need in life. I've actually written a blog post on it recently, basically saying what it is, what you can do with it, the benefits of it. In this recipe, it's basically replacing the cheddar. So there's no actual cheese in this. It all comes from this and the kind of stock cube to bring the saltiness through. But this is a really, really good substitute for B12. Always make sure that you're getting the one with added B12. I get mine from my local bulk food shop. For some reason, it's normally like 50 to 75% off in there. So I literally buy like kilos worth of it. But you can get it from Waitrose. I think you can get it on Tesco and that now as well, but just make sure you're getting the one with B12 in it if you are vegan. And if you're not vegan, you can read more about B12 on my blog. So you're gonna need about 2 tablespoons of this. Okay, maybe like 3 to 4 tablespoons of this because it's just so good. But again, I'm not gonna measure because you're a student. So we're just gonna sprinkle that in like so. Put your stove top onto high, put the lid on. So you're going to want to let that cook for sort of 20 minutes, just reduce the heat once it starts bubbling, otherwise it will just froth over and make a mess. And then you're going to need to blend it. So you can either do this by pouring it into a blender, which can be quite tricky, and blenders can take up quite a lot of space in a student kitchen, especially if you're sharing with a lot of people. So what I would suggest is buying one of these. This is my favourite thing I think anybody's ever bought me. My housemate bought it for me second year of uni for Christmas, and I literally think it was about 15 quid. It's an immersion blender. So all you do is plug this part in, stick this part on, and there's a blender under here. Plunge it straight in and it literally just blends the whole thing up, and it's just wonderful, and it packs away really neatly. This is super easy to wash, just give it a good rinse. Mine's kind of stained with turmeric. But yeah, highly recommend one of these because it just saves you loads of time. Mine also came with one of these, so I can use it for sauces and smoothies as well. So it basically just saves space on having an actual blender. Okay, so when your soup has started bubbling, just give it a little mix, just to get all of the nutritional yeast and the butter all mixed through, and the chili powder and the stock cube. And then yeah, literally just let it sit with the lid off, just to release some of the steam and let some of it evaporate a little bit. Just let it sit on like a medium heat. I'm just gonna turn that down to about 5. And I'm just gonna let it sit for about 15 minutes, just until the potatoes are super duper soft. A good way to tell if this soup is done is if your potatoes can be squashed with a spoon. So they just kind of like fall apart into crumbly little bits of potatoes. That is perfect consistency. So take it off the heat and then let it cool if you're putting it in a blender. If you're not putting it in a blender and you're using one of these bad boys, then you can just kind of go to town. Soup is done, you can either just have it as it is, as a lunch, or I actually like to serve mine over rice. This does have a lot of potato in it, so it is quite filling anyway, but don't be scared of starches, they're so good for you. So yeah, over rice, or over couscous as well is also really nice. You could, you know, chuck extra veggies in there if you've got stuff going off as well. But yeah, this is one of my favourites, so I'm now going to serve it up. Little taste test, this is so hot. That's good. Always a fave. What I would recommend with this soup as well is putting it in some containers. So we actually just use leftover Chinese pots. So when we order a takeaway, it's normally from Chinese. The Indian don't seem to do these. They always seem to come in tinfoil, but a lot of Chineses use these little plastic pots. And rather than just chucking them, we have a whole drawer full of them. And they're perfect portion sizes. absolutely perfect. I'll fill this sort of just over halfway, and it's literally the perfect portions. So if you can keep hold of these, do, because they're just so handy, and then they stack up really nicely in the freezer as well. This soup freezes and will last you months. So make a big batch of it and then you're ready for the winter. So this next recipe is a really simple pasta bake. You are going to need one of these, which I don't think I had when I was at uni, but actually in hindsight I probably should have. You can make so much in these. You can make shepherd's pie, you can make stews, you can make pasta bakes, you can make curries, you can make everything in here. So again, would recommend having one of these in the cupboard. It just got super dark in here, so sorry about the lighting change, but you're going to need about 300 grams of pasta. Again, normally just eyeball it, to be completely honest with you, but yeah, pasta of your choosing, a passata sauce of your choosing. This is just Waitrose because this is my local supermarket, because I live in a middle class island. Vegetables of your choice, I'm using courgette and carrots today, but you can literally put in whatever you like, and also some vegan cheese. Again, this is kind of pricey, but you got to treat yourself every now and again, even if you are a student. So for this recipe, you're going to need to set the oven to about 180. Let that heat up because you will be baking your pasta as well. Obviously, it's called pasta bake crystal. You're then also going to want to add your boiled water to a pan. So you're going to want to put the pan on medium high. I'm going to put, let's go for 7. Put it on 7. Once your water is heating up to a boil, you can start chopping your vegetables. As I said before, I'm just using carrots and courgettes. Now, I cannot be bothered to peel my carrots because I just really, I don't know, I just don't feel like there's any need. Give them a wash first, obviously, but yeah, I never feel the need to peel my carrots. So, you're just going to want to chop them into little bite-sized pieces. So I normally just kind of go down this, and then the bigger ones from the top I tend to just kind of chop in half really roughly. It's all being chucked in the same thing. It doesn't need to look particularly pretty. Okay, so that water is almost boiled. We're just going to want to add a tiny pinch of salt. I would always recommend adding just a tiny bit of oil. Oh god, we are running low. It just really helps to make sure that the pasta doesn't stick together. You can then add your pasta, and you can then add your carrots. I would leave the courgettes for now if you are going to use courgettes, just because they don't take as long to cook. So you can add your carrots in there, and that can all boil down together because it's all going in the same pan. This is why I love a one-pot dish, you know. Put the lid on that. So we're going to let that cook for about 4 minutes, and then we're going to add the courgette in. Let it cook for another 2 or 3 minutes. You don't want everything fully cooked for a recipe like this because it is also going in the oven where it will cook for longer as well. So we just kind of want everything slightly al dente. So while the pasta is doing its thing and cooking over here, we can begin to get the baking part ready. So you're just going to want to take your passata of choice, and what I normally do is I just put a layer on the bottom. Oh my god, this one smells so good. And then you're going to want to do a layer of cheese. I just find if you layer it up like this, you get a much more even distribution of sauce to cheese to pasta ratio. So do a little sprinkle of cheese on the bottom. You can make this as cheesy as you want, although the cheese is quite expensive, so as a student I would maybe just not put as much in if I were you, just so then it lasts a bit longer. Or you can add nutritional yeast as well. That is a good way to save money if you're bulk buying your nutritional yeast. So the pasta is pretty al dente, as are the vegetables. They've been on the stove for about 6 to 7 minutes. And I'm just going to drain them in a colander, and I'm not going to show you my sink because it's a bit of a state right now, but I'm sure you will know how to drain pasta. Okay, so once your pasta is drained in the colander, you are then just going to want to kind of layer it out onto your baking pan. So the idea is that you get a layer of pasta, a layer of sauce, a layer of pasta, a layer of sauce, blah, 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 blah. That way you just get a nice even distribution of everything. Right, so I'm now just going to add in the last of the sauce. I am still going to mix this around. A good way to get the last bit of the tomato sauce out is to just put a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of water in the jar and shake it around That way you are not wasting anything. Before I put the last layer of cheese on, I'm just going to give this a good mix, just directly in here to make sure everything is covered. You can use more sauce than this. I know this probably doesn't actually look like a lot of sauce, but I like my pasta to be coated in sauce rather than like swimming in sauce. So this way you still get the flavour of the sauce coming through, but it's not kind of like dripping in it. But if you like things dripping in sauce, then, you know, maybe use another half jar or another full jar. But that's just not my vibe, you know. That is nicely mixed together. I'm just going to add a final layer of cheese on the top. I would always recommend putting a layer of cheese on the top, even if you don't put it through the pasta, because it just melts and goes all gooey and just delicious. Ooh. Use oven gloves, don't be an idiot like me. And she will cook in there for 10 15 minutes. Make sure the cheese is nice and melted and gooey. That's what you're looking for. So you'll know when your pasta's done when your cheese is like melted over the top and the pasta's kind of crisped. That sounds really weird, but it's really good. So I was going to do a little taste test of this pasta, but I've just eaten a full portion. That's so good. I'm going to show you how to do the last recipe today, which is a really, really easy chili. Now, the ingredients for this are super simple. So you're going to need a cup of red lentils, a can of chopped tomatoes, a can of kidney beans, a stock cube, chili powder, and I'm also going to add in some onion powder. You could add garlic powder in here if you want to, or just completely miss it out and just use the stock cube. It's entirely up to you. So this recipe is another bit of a one pot wonder, if you want to call it that. Everything is just going straight in here. There's no mess, there's no weighing, there's no nothing, it's just all straight in there. Oh no, you do need a sieve for your kidney beans. Sieve your kidney beans, get rid of all that juice, and then chuck them in. That's the only thing you need. But other than that, we're gonna go ahead and put the chopped tomatoes straight in there. Tomatoes are gonna go straight in. Again, just like the previous recipe, we're gonna make sure that we're using all of the waste in there. Like, look how much tomato is still in there. There is still so much sauce. So we're gonna fill the whole can with water, and that's going to be our water content as well. Then we also get the rest of the tomatoey juice goodness out of here. Fill your can with water, make sure you give it a good swish to get the rest of the tomato out, and that can also go straight in there. See, look at that. Clean as anything. We're going to add in our lentils, straight in there like that. Add in 1 stock cube. Now you're going to want like 2 teaspoons of chili powder. That's if you want it like a good spice. If you like it really spicy, add more. If you like it less spicy, add less. Again, just play around, see what works. So you're gonna need to drain your kidney beans. Now kidney beans come in this like thick kind of juicy stuff, which is a bit grim. So what you're gonna need to do is, I can't even really show you. So they come in this like liquid. You don't want this. So all you need to do is just run that through a sieve in the sink. Drain it off with some water, just get rid of all of that kind of juicy, gunky stuff, so you're just left with the actual kidney beans. So you should be left with something that looks like this. So they're just these little kidney beans. Mine are kind of falling apart a bit, but that's fine. So we're just gonna leave these to the side for a bit. We are now gonna bring these lentils to a boil. Don't put your kidney beans in just yet because they will go too soft and they will just kind of disintegrate. So they basically go in 2 to 3 minutes at the end, just to kind of warm them through a little bit. But you're going to want to cook your lentils for about 20 minutes, but do keep checking your water content as well, because the lentils will absorb all of the water and then they can end up sticking and burning, which I've done so many times. So if you find that your lentils are becoming really thick and they don't seem to be bubbling, they just kind of seem to be sticking to the bottom, then add some more water. It won't affect the flavour or anything. You can always add a little bit more salt, a little bit more chilli, if you find that the flavour's gone with it as well. So you can see here that my lentils are getting pretty thick, so I am actually going to add about half a cup of water to this. Woo, spinning around. It'll just help to thin it all out again, and we'll make sure that when we put the beans in, that it doesn't all start sticking to the bottom. So this chili is so warming, it's so hearty, it goes perfect with rice, goes perfect with quinoa. You could put it in like a sloppy joe if you want to mix it up a little bit. Really, really good one to have. Again, really versatile. You could chuck loads of veggies in there, make it spicier, make it less spicy. Just do what you want with it, have a play around, maybe use different beans. I prefer kidney beans because that's quite a traditional chili con carne, so that's what I like to have in here. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that you've learned something that you can take to university with you this year, or if you're starting second or third year and you're leaning towards more of a vegan, plant-based diet, these are some great recipes to have just on hand and everybody will love them. If you want more videos like this, make sure to like and subscribe down below, you know the drill now. I'm also on Instagram and I also have my recipe blog as well, which I'm trying to be a little bit more proactive on at the moment. I'm absolutely loving just really experimenting in the kitchen and I want to help you guys out, so if you could do that, that would help me out too. Okay, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you later. Bye!